Welcome to the bold analysis. I am amongst the many Kenyans that had been doubting the role of George Wajackoyah in this election. And it is until he conducted the Western Belt tour that then he's simply revealing the main reason, or rather his objective in participating in this election. The many that have opined that Wajackoyah was a candidate that was planted by deep state to eat into William Ruto's youth basket. But there are also a school of thought that maybe he's just a man on his own mission and is just trying to find a platform to pitch the Bangi the Bangi narrative, or rather, let's say, to pitch his stake, the Bangi stake, the marijuana stake. So, better part of this week, George Wajackoyah was making a tour of the Western Belt. Remember, the other previous month, or rather, the first weeks of this month, George Wajackoyah was campaigning the towns and then some parts of Mount Kenya. Then today and this week, he has been in Nyanza region, over this weekend. Held a rally in Bungoma, Kakamega, Busia, and today he was in Kisumu. So I have been following a bit, step by step, and I just saw the kind of reception. So today he was in Kisumu, and what people are wondering is Wajackoyah do not have candidates who are vying through that Roots party, maybe in these other areas. And I think people just underestimated the strength of that party, the strength of Wajackoyah. If someone would have just made a blunder somewhere, just a political blunder, and go pick Wajackoyah's party, use that party to vie for an MCA seat somewhere, that person can cut the edge and even win. But of course, no one saw Wajackoyah that he was making a lot of sense. Now, I understand that alikuwa Kisumu and he had a very long caravan, that he doesn't have an MCA, MP or any aspirant, but the caravan is just long, more than 8 cars. So question be like, where does he get the cars? Of course, as a presidential candidate, he's facilitated by the government. Now, why was he in Western? And when immediately I got that information from his team, Mr. Wenduya, I think, when they shared the press that I would be making a tour in Bungoma and was asking for coverage, I was really paying attention to the kind of message that Wajackoyah is going to relay there. Now, if you look at reception in Bungoma, like this video is when he was in Bungoma, the reception was overwhelming. You cannot underestimate that. But we were so keen into the kind of pitch that Wajackoyah was going to make there. And cleverly, he spoke more about the speech in Bungoma. He spoke more about the history of the Luhya, and was saying that the most powerful people in Luhya are the Kijana wa Malwa. He mentioned Elijah Masinde Muliro and Mudamba Mudavadi, the father to Musalia Mudavadi. Then he said that he's technically the third or the fourth other powerful person from Western. But you could see the way he was stressing on how he maneuvered through the murky waters of IBC to be qualified to vie, to be accredited to vie. And someone might reason this way. Why do you think Wajackoyah was allowed to vie and many other candidates dropped? Do you think Wajackoyah would be trending with the Bangi pitch if there were all those other candidates, even if the candidates were 15? The attention would have scattered, and perhaps Wajackoyah wouldn't have got that attention. Someone will be then with another thing. And I also want to partially agree with people who think that there are deep hands in Wajackoyah's candidature. Listen to what Wajackoyah said in Bungoma in relation to the Hustler Nation.
Kama mnapewa kijiko ya kupakua hiyo na umemaliza form 4 jamani. alafu napewa wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow sasa ndio itakuwa kusaidia. Na watoto wao wanaenda university za ng'ambo, wakimaliza huko ng'ambo wanatoka ambassador, wakikuja hapa napenda na Mercedes. Alafu watoto wengi ndio wanapata wheelbarrow chini. Wheelbarrow wapi? Wheelbarrow wapi? Alafu ukienda kule nimesema huko, mtu akimaliza form 4 huko sugoi, manake form hapana, mtu akimaliza form 4 anapewa kazi. Watu wa class 8 wanapewa ma commission. Unaambia aenda ukuwe chama na commission fulani hii. Ukishaipa saa zile Kenyatta anasema ulitoa hii pesa namna gani, watu wanasema tumeonea. Tangu independence kuna majenerals ngapi ya army kutoka kwa Waluya? Hakuna. Tangu independence kuna maambasada wangapi kutoka hapa? Hakuna. Sisi tunapeanga ile kamnyama ya mkia kanafanywa hivi ndio tunapewa. Alafu nakuta wengine anakuja hapa sisi tunaenda huko.
And very interesting is the way he is, you know, he's a very free soul. In fact, someone was saying I don't think he's using the puff. I think he's just a happy soul, and that to my understanding might be the real depiction of a hustler person, someone who really wants to mpaka anatembea mpaka kwa gari na mguu tupu. Well, I'm telling you now, today he was in Kisumu, and people would expect, because Wajackoyah, one, he cannot receive hostility in any part of the country. People know that there is already a general understanding that although he's popular in the internet, but he cannot really be a threat to William Ruto or Raila Odinga, or perhaps rather, let me say, a big threat. He can be a threat, but not such a big threat. So when he was in Kisumu, he decided to campaign for Raila Odinga and hit Deputy President William Ruto with some very unkind words. But just have a share of this.
Yo modak na road, modak embakasi, umos na udongili. Ilo mweni babu windo nyaka umos, windo kosa ukuwinjo. Jalango nyaka umos, windo kosa ukuwinjo. Abi ot baba, tokidi ot baba nyaka idi maber. Kuma uwok ye joka wango kuta, awinyo ni baba no uwok nkono. Koro wan kot bedroom baba mumnyas kucha. Toko kuona nikidi Kisumu, nidi Kilongo. Ukianyo baba, hiro obi. Uduaroda. Mtika tomaya anyonga baba unge. Natimoro matin ma umok sgoi no unge. Kobiro katutu. Nduru. Ngano baba. Ngano baba. Asubuhi wanatoka saa 10, wengine wanaingia saa 10 yawa nyaka saa 5, wengine wanaingia saa 5 nyaka asubuhi. Ala mtu mmoja kwenda kufanya kazi iko watu 5, watu 4, alafu iko holiday. Kama wewe ulikuwa na kitu yako kidogo, unaacha mama nyumbani, unakimbilia huko siku ya Ijumaa, unamwambia hata mimi nakwenda kupumzika. Na hata mama.
So guys, I am one person who see the bang pitch by Wajackoyah as just a cover-up. There is something that Wajackoyah brings to this election, because he's not here to win. What do you think he will spend all that millions to traverse the country campaigning with a lot of that vibrance while he can't win? Because even if someone was to become president between Raila and Ruto, then they need Wajackoyah. After presidency, the only worry of the president of the day will be strength in National Assembly and County Assembly. Wajackoyah do not have candidates, so he is not a threat even in the National Assembly. He's not a threat that can legitimize the government. So why would you think that he is in this election? I want us to look at that critically, and there is something in the pretext of what in the context of the Western tour. There's some few observations that I want us to point out. One thing that Wajackoyah has brought to this election, and you can see, is he has tried to fashion a captivating version of hustler narrative. When he goes and the way he speaks to the minds of people, one, he speaks very casually, doesn't talk as if, you would think as if he doesn't know how to campaign, but then that is his style. The way he is addressing the crowd, he is so free. I remember there is someone somewhere in Bungoma, someone asked him some cash and he said, yeah, hana pesa, mtu anataka pesa ende Sugoi. He was that casual, and you'll see, look at even the dressing. Ameva, it's a casual dress. Actually, when someone tells you this is a hustler, you'll see a hustler. And again, he's someone who, I think he's not spent most of his time in Kenya. Alikuja Kenya 2010 after being away for almost 20 years. He went to UK. He was in NIS and was to take care of investigating the death of Ouko. But I think at that level he brushed shoulders with the authorities. Then he flew out of the country. So this fashioned, captivating hustler posturing that he's bringing on board is a threat to Deputy President's hustler narrative, because the hustler narrative on the other side, it is a lot of things brought together to help person at the lower part of the pyramid. But on the other side, Wajackoya is simply saying the solution is one: bangi, 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 and it's one word that the youth resonate with. Not even the product, they resonate with the word there, and people get to understand. If you see Wajackoya, you see bangi. You would ask a question. If you see Ruto, what do you see? If you see Raila Odinga, what comes to your mind? But when someone just mentions Wajackoya, even to a kid, Wajackoya, the person will simply talk about marijuana. So that is there. Completely, Wajackoya destroys the dynasty narrative card that is being pegged against Raila Odinga. I know for now, if Wajackoya goes to a rally somewhere, even in town, and he speaks about his manifesto and the bank pitch and all that, and says the way then he wants new face, Ruto's narrative on wale watu niwa, it doesn't augur well, because Kenyans will be like, the same audience then compare between Ruto and Wajackoya. Who honestly is a dynasty and who honestly is an answer, is a hustler. Wajackoya comes on to bridge that gap and then replaces him, because according to him, he was actually saying that Ruto, Raila, Uhuru, Mudavadi, all those are dynasties. Actually, Mudavadi is a dynasty. Mdamba Mudavadi was a senior person in Western region. But you can also not underestimate. I think people feel that he has a lot of online presence, and the audience, or rather is a lot of following online, but he's also rejuvenating the passive internet voters. If voting would be done electronically, where someone can vote through Twitter, or someone can vote through Facebook, or someone can vote through email, and it's counted by IBC, I'm telling you, you can see almost 97% turnout. But the Twitter gang and the internet gang are passive voters. But with the Wajackoya, someone can make an effort. I'm just going to the polling station. So Wajackoya is going to boost the turnout, because it's going to take people to the polling stations, especially the youth. So as to whether they are going to vote for him or the other candidate, it's about taking people to the polling station. If you take him to the polling station, most probably he will vote with the tide. What the station is voting, what that polling station, who the people of that polling station are voting for, most probably that person is going to vote for them. But the confrontation between Wajackoya and Ruto might also bring a youth contest. That if Ruto, like Wajackoya attacked Ruto, if Ruto responds, and remember at some point Wajackoya had also mentioned that he was approached to be given some 200 million so that he can step out of the race, and he said he would not. A contest between the two will be a contest for the youth. That is not something that the strategist of William Samoei Ruto want to hear. So ladies and gentlemen, that's my bolt on how Wajackoya is simply in Western Kenya. He's trying to decampaign Mudavadi and Ruto, because if you look at the whole of that approach was against Mudavadi, Ruto, and then trying to pitch for Raila and his bangi narrative.